This is not good. Worlds are colliding.
We were smart enough to not say, Houston, there's a light out there that's following us.
And what the hell is that? You know, what is that? And I couldn't even talk. I was just amazed at what I was seeing.
This is the Beast of the Week podcast.
All right,
let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of the Beast of the Week podcast. I'm John Cannon.
I'm not Sam Harris.
Who are you?
Well, that's a really
that's
existential
Joe
question,
McGlinchey,
isn't it?
And I was mentioned earlier by someone I'm not, but now I'm Sam Harris, and oh shit. Boys, do you smell that?
I think I do.
I smell a fantastic episode of Beast of the Week coming on.
You betcha.
It's like Thanksgiving fucked 4th of July barbecue. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
It's like fresh baked bread mixed with skeletons.
Yum. I love bone bread. It's right after rosemary for me.
Maybe that's just my Thanksgiving.
Well, listeners, as you can tell, we are lacking a very grounding portion of this podcast. We'd like to mourn the passing of one Charlie Pettit.
Oh,
he's not dead. He's
he just ain't here.
Grace, how sweet the Pettit.
Holy shit. Anyway, he's not dead. He just decided he's too cool for a quote, stupid little fucking show, end quote. That's a quote from me.
That is not what he said.
John Cannon, Michael Scott.
I'd also very much like to apologize for the radio silence from us the past 2 weeks. We had a significant amount of technical difficulties that genuinely had me extremely upset over the Thanksgiving break there. It's because we had a great episode to deliver for you. So now we're trying again. Let's recapture the magic, like a relationship that ended 3 years ago in high school that you meet at a bar again and you say, hey, let's hang out sometime. And you get a few drinks, you come back home and you spend a few days together, you get a couple weeks and you realize all the problems are still there.
Wow. That doesn't sound good at all. It sounds like I spent money at a bar and then left disappointed 3 weeks later.
Welcome to the Beast of the Week podcast.
Today's episode's featuring the Dover Demon.
No.
What is the Dover Demon, you might say? That's a great question. We're going to find out.
The Dover Demon.
A pretty niche demon.
It's pretty,
actually, yeah.
For how niche it is, it's pretty well known, though.
It's actually pretty boutique, if I might say. Ooh, it's a boutique demon.
This is the type of demon you see at like Urban Outfitters 3 years after it's cool, but it's still kind of cool.
It's a limited release demon.
Yeah,
that's true. Actually, yeah, it's very true.
You can't buy it anywhere.
Absolutely not.
You can't buy most of these. I tried. It's very illegal. The Dover Demon is what is to date still an unidentified cryptid, whereas, you know, a lot of the ones that we have popular names for, like Mothman, took on a life of its own. Others have been identified as like a different kind of Bigfoot, etc. We don't know what the Dover Demon is.
No.
What we do know is that it was spotted 3 times in a 24-hour period in Dover, Massachusetts in April 1977. We are getting local, folks. For us, I don't know where your locale is. Yeah, we're in.
You never mentioned that. we never once mentioned.
We never. Yeah, we're short of Sam from the tropical New Hampshire with all his palm pine trees.
Oh, the vitamin D. I got
the Palm Pilots.
The Palm Pilots. The palm oil, which is destroying the orangutan's habitat. We live about 20 minutes from Dover, and really we really missed an opportunity to go fucking gonzo journalism here and go seek it out.
I don't know of anyone that's once has said we really missed out on an opportunity to go to Dover, Mass.
You know what? You ain't never met someone like me. But
boy.
the Dover Demon, obviously named for the town it was spotted in.
Is that obvious?
The town is called Dover, Massachusetts, with a population of a number that I don't have off the top of my head. But I'm
don't
making
worry,
a sarcastic
boys.
joke to belittle Sam Harris on the other side of his microphone because he's being a fucking dick. It was named and investigated by Lauren Coleman, who is a famous cryptid investigator, particularly in our area. He founded the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine, which I'm really hoping to make a pilgrimage to shortly.
Oh, we will. We will. I'm pretty spooked by the looks of this thing, so I would love to describe what this little freak looks like. This little thing is 3.5 to 4 feet tall, completely hairless. It's peach colored with rough, sandpapery skin.
I want to know, did they remember how I mentioned slapping a dolphin?
I do remember, yeah.
What?
Did they slap a Dover Demon?
They must have done something, because how do you know it's sandpapery? Unless you look at it and you're like, that's sandpaper.
Honestly, I think given that it's pink and that it's sandpapery, it's a cat's tongue is a better descriptor.
You're actually on the right track. Scientists have found out that it is eerily similar to a cat's tongue.
What?
No, it's completely false.
Top scientists that we have here in Dover,
Top men.
Massachusetts,
Ready for
as
this?
we know.
This is my favorite part of it. It has a large watermelon-like head, but a baby or a body
And a baby.
and a body like a baby's.
Could you imagine?
Oh, I can't. In fact, we can all imagine if we put reference to our beloved character in Rugrats, Tommy Pickles.
Oh man!
This little man has a head of a watermelon, and of course, the body of a baby.
What if that's the adult form, but the baby form is just Dill Pickles?
Oh my god!
Also, can we talk about how his name was Dill fucking Pickles?
They thought that was funny. Stu is an inventor. He's creative.
No, they gave it a millennial fucking dog name.
Stu is not a dog name or
Dill Pickles.
Dill Pickles.
Dill Pickles.
Oh yeah, Dill.
All right, so far we got this really small thing that's hairless
Tommy
with rough
Pickles.
sandpapery skin.
Yeah, can we
a big
go back
ass
to
head.
the fucking watermelon?
Yeah, it's got a watermelon-sized head.
Are there any cryptids with any other kind of fruited heads?
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure.
doubt it.
I'm pretty sure the Mothman's head looks like a bunch of bananas. I'm not saying a bunch, like they're collected. Like if you just had a tabletop with all the bananas you could find
Like
on
laid
it.
out in a row,
Like a
You,
good amount.
No,
individually
no.
bananas.
Like you had a basket of it, specifically a basket. They don't fall the same out of a bag, and you dumped it on the table. Mothman.
Ugh.
It has round, lidless eyes. But its eyes are actually inconsistent in color. We have claims ranging from orange to green, and in fact, there's nothing in between.
So you could say we're with the eyes on this watermelon head. We're
We're
comparing apples to oranges.
I continue because I do have
All
a
right.
point about the description that I think is pertinent.
Okay, so I'm going to just read off the next few points, and then we're going to go through them all in one conjunction without anyone butting in, because this
Not
thing
possible.
is hilarious. It has no nose, no ears, and no mouth.
Tommy
It has a
Pickles.
really thin neck with spindly arms and legs
How-
and long fingers.
How jacked must his neck be to hold up a watermelon?
Not that
head?
jacked, but his spine is probably rigid because it has a thin neck.
Is it
Not
possible? I don't want to get into the biology so soon. I'm sitting there, it's mid-June and I got a pool of biology and I'm like, ooh, too cold, too soon. But I'm ready to dive in real quick. What if the Dover Demon's head is mostly neck? What if he's got a little head on the outside of this bulging watermelon neck?
So you're saying it's like a mini watermelon on the top of
A watermelon.
See,
a watermelon.
you brought
Basically a
up
watermelon on
He's
top
got a
of a
tumorous
watermelon.
neck.
You brought up a point I really want to address here, and it has to do with the neck. You brought up the word possible. And as a wise man once told me, if it's popsicle, it's possible.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible that the rake's head is actually a popsicle.
What was that sentence? Can you dial it back? Yo.
So anyway, this thing is basically a mix between a nightmare and Tommy Pickles.
It's kind of like a quadrupedal gray alien is how I kind of picture it.
Why is it? But it stands.
So do bears, but we still count them as four-legged beasts.
No. I count them
watched
as
it.
members of society.
We're not talking about large, hairy, homosexual gentlemen. We're talking about dogs of the forest.
Wolves?
Anyway, let's get some context around
No,
this
not
bad
wolves.
boy. So when was this thing sighted first?
So the first sighting of the Dover Demon was at 10:32 on April 21st, 1977. You might say they were
What the fuck was that?
You okay, bud?
Oh my god!
they were coming down.
Just fucking say it. Just
I'm taking the drink.
No,
Just say it.
they were coming down from a holiday on the previous day. You know what comes before April 21st, don't you? Bill Bartlett and two friends were out driving around at 10:32 p.m. causing some ruckus. Bartlett was driving their mystery machine, and he gets a glimpse of a creature that's crawling on the rocks on the far side of the road. And he presumably slams on the brakes and goes, ah! And what he saw was only visible for a few seconds, and none of his friends also saw it. But what Bartlett reported and eventually drew for investigators was, at first we thought to be a dog or a cat just scuttling along the rocks, but he was wrong. When it turned its head, he saw that it had two large orange glowing eyes, and it was he saw Tommy Pickles scampering up the rocks.
You said orange eyes.
Bartlett specifically
Yes, sir.
said glowing orange eyes.
Because I've heard green eyes.
You heard green eyes? Guess
I
what?
heard green eyes.
I
I've
heard
also heard
orange
bright
eyes.
I've also heard Green Eyes by Coldplay, and it made me cry in 8th grade.
I heard eager eyes because I'm Mr. Brightside.
Oof. But this one makes me think, because it brings me back to my salad days of yore. Joe, you were a good part of that, where, how
Sure.
many fucking nights in high school were we out just cruising around town, just nothing better to do? And how likely, and I'm being honest here, how likely is it that at one point one of us would have slammed the brakes and been like, monster?
That 100% happened to me. Like 100%.
There's no way we didn't do that.
That legit, like it wasn't monsters. I saw ghosts.
And I
But
wouldn't
that's
believe you.
That's for another time.
But we
What do
wouldn't
you mean?
believe
No,
each other.
what do you mean? It's not for another time. I want to hear this.
We were
Okay.
driving through a graveyard, and I saw we turned on the headlights, and it turned and showed. I saw this little girl with a polka dot dress on, like a formal like 50s thing, and we turned, and then there's people all over standing next to graves in like formal wear, like ghostly looking folks, and so we were just screaming and driving around. And I have witnesses also, but I'll bring them on the show for another time. Anyway, it was terrifying, and I can see why no one else would believe it.
But here we are, like me and Joey, and I'm sure Sam had similar experiences. This whole thing kicked off by a bunch of kids just out, just cruising the town, which, frankly, Dover, pretty small town. The 70s, they're on spring break. That's pretty much what they'd be up to, it's easy to look at this and say, oh, they're smoking weed. They're coming home from a party. They might be drunk. But also, we grew up in a small town with nothing better to do. It's entirely possible they were just out cruising.
It's true. It's very true. That's when you see the best stuff.
That's true.
Like a half dog, half Tommy Pickles.
Oh no, Doggy Pickles.
Dog.
I'm pretty sure his name was Spike.
It's a
Yes.
doggy pickles world.
So as
Now,
we mentioned,
I do want to mention how small this fucking town is for relations. So in 2010, we have Dover, Massachusetts, with a population of 2,265 people
That's
in it, and that's
not a lot
2010.
of people. yeah,
That is 1/4 of
Holy
my
shit.
high school.
yeah, that's a tiny amount
Wait,
of people.
whoa.
Wait, no,
High
actually,
school's
that's
enormous.
As we mentioned, there's only 3 significant sightings of the Dover Demon, and that was just the first. Who wants to give me the second?
I'm looking at you, Mr. Sam L. Harris.
All right. I love this second encounter. So what we have here, the first one, as we said, was Bill Bartlett, his friends driving around. But then we have midnight, I believe that night, I would say, because it's the way time works.
Yes.
We have a gentleman named Baxter, which during the first recording I said looked like he was about 24. He is also about 15. He's just old-looking kid. He leaves his girlfriend's house on foot. And now, a half hour into his walk, something starts approaching him. He thinks it's his friend that lives nearby. Now, I want to say, let's see. He left his girlfriend's house, Kathy Cronin, at the south end of Miller High Road. He starts walking up the street. Half an hour later, after about a mile, yes, he observes someone approaching him. The figure is very short. He assumes it's his short friend, M.G. Bouchard, that lives on the street. And this is why I think it's very funny that we have such an accurate description of, like, the skin texture of the Dover Demon, because this motherfucker doesn't even know, like, what his friends look like, apparently. he's just like, oh yeah, baby, that's my buddy, T. Pickies.
Oh, look, dude, that's Squee down there.
T. Pickies up the street.
Oh, that must have been from All Grown Up.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, definitely.
shit, I forgot
when they
about
were
that.
all the same size, though, as babies.
That show was also good. I'll give him that. Also. They aged well.
Okay.
He was
calls
hot.
out.
He
and
was
there's
hot.
Lou?
Okay, well, move on.
Lou was hot. Yeah,
Who's Lou?
the grandfather.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, no, he had that wild Einstein hair. So he calls out and there's no response, and he continues to approach until the figure stops. He asks, who is that? And he can only see a shadowy form. Now, it's very important to notice that he does not have any kind of account of what the eyes look like. So Unlike Billy Bartlett, he does not know what these peepers are doing. Baxter takes another step forward, and the figure scurries off to the bank, down a shallow wooded gully, which is kind of like a little indent.
It's kind of like water eroded the specific area. Like
Kind
that's
of like
where
a fancy way of saying it's a ditch.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, little thing scampering on down a ditch. And
Nothing but a thing.
Nothing but a thing.
Little
And
sweetheart.
Baxter hears these footsteps on dry leaves, follows the figure down the slope, which the balls on this motherfucker. Just being like, that's not my friend, that's some kind of demon monster.
Well, I think he just had sexual intercourse, which would make him a little more confident in himself. So he's going to follow after
he's-
this.
you're,
Tommy
you're
Pickles.
having way different sexual intercourse than I am. I always
He's
feel
just-
dejected.
He was just swagging around with a slick willy, just being like, "Hey, what up, monster?
Hey, what's
Tommy
up, bud?
Pickles."
Tommy.
He was like, I
Hey,
know you.
Tommy.
I know
Show
you.
of
We
the
go to
future.
school together. We go to school together.
So the creature turns around and stands up
Uh-oh.
and kind of perches like feet on rock, hand on tree. He kind of does like a hey there, I assume.
Like a nice senior portrait pose, right?
I think the Dover Demon definitely let out that good senior portrait.
I think
and-
he smelled his pheromones and was like, "You want some fuck?
Do you want some fuck?
You want some fuck?" He put on the
Hey,
smooth
baby.
music. He was careless whisper bumping through the air as he
Hey, baby.
turned on his demon noises.
And the creature's feet molded around a rock, which is like I think Bill Bartlett. Fuck all these B names.
No, they're all B names.
Yeah.
Also,
They're all fucking B names.
also his
It
girlfriend
goes deeper.
is double C. There's a lot of alliteration in this fucking Dover Demon.
Yeah,
shit,
and
which is
he thought his
also-
friend was Bouchard, so all these B's up in Dover.
It's
all these B's in the D.
It's a Dover ordinance. All of the surnames have to start with a B.
So the creature's feet, molded around a rock, stared intently at Baxter, who immediately felt uneasy, and he walks away, probably runs, maybe hustles a bit, like a good little league player would, and he hitchhikes the fuck home, which is totally safe back then.
That was like
Oh, yeah,
that was like
that was
Lyft
fine.
or Uber back in the day. You just put your
Pretty
thumb out
much.
and you just waited a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got in a car. But I believe there's a third sighting.
There is a third sighting.
Unless you have anything to say about, or any questions about Mr. Baxter.
I think we commented enough on this Baxter motherfucker.
It's not getting better if we keep going.
All right, so on the night of April 22nd, 1977, Abby Brabham is being driven, and again, another B name, Brabham, is being driven home by Will Tainter.
He was from out of town.
Yeah.
He was from out of town. He didn't have any alliteration. He wasn't with the
One of
the
them
scene.
acting boys.
But she spots something on the road, and she describes a small creature with a large, ovoid head, long, spindly limbs, no
In a diaper.
facial features. However, she describes green, glowing eyes, and she stood by green eyes even when investigators were beating the shit out of her, being like, "Tell us the truth!"
They might have been doing that.
They might have been. We have no. It was the 70s. It was the 70s. You know, guys are peace
We
and love.
can't
Beat the
prove
shit out of
they
people.
weren't.
Whatever.
They can't prove they
I mean,
weren't.
in the 70s, it's more possible that the Dover Demon was some kind of, like, Russian spy than the fact that it was a demon.
And then Mr. Taint only saw it quickly, but he saw something with a large head and a tan body, which can only presumably be one of the Rugrats. I'm actually kind of leaning towards Chucky at this point. He's a creepy motherfucker.
He was pale though, and
If you think about it.
He was pale, and he had wild hair.
You're right.
That might come up later though. But there was to say these are the only 3 sightings isn't exactly fair. They're just the most important ones because sightings definitely dwindled after this. But later on, a few years later, I believe, Bartlett and his girlfriend were parked in a remote location.
At Makeout Point.
Fucking.
Set the scene, John.
All right, so Bartlett, he's there in his
Car?
his what is it, AMC Gremlin,
Oh.
and he pulls this old movie. He goes, "Oh baby, my transmission's broken, and
What?
can you adjust my seat for me?" And
Would that fix the transmission back then? Is that like all
and so she goes, okay, Billy, and she goes to adjust the seat, and he's like, "Just kidding, my seat's my wiener." And so they start just flinging at each other, and he
whole seat's his dick? Like a fucking stingray? Then he's this cock stingray that he's sitting on? No, it's
and
not
so
his dick.
and so they're slang and weighing in that beautiful
They were necking. It's the 70s.
70s.
Yeah, they were necking.
I have seen enough slasher movies to know that they were raw dogging it in the woods.
I don't want my
No.
parents to listen to this
I don't
anymore.
care. They're not my parents.
No, Billy
And-
Bartlett is a good Christian boy. He swore on a stack of Bibles.
This
All
is a
right.
good Christian
so
show.
He was a good Christian boy, and so they used the classic loophole to the
Ear sex.
they looped around to the
Okay.
so they're so they're banging, and while they're banging, something banged on the window in return.
Knock, knock, knock. Nice dick.
Looks awful like a bucket seat. And when Bartlett, it might have taken him like a few seconds, but he turned around from his dastardly deed, and he saw a small creature running away from his love shack.
What wasn't mentioned here and that I actually found online was that the little creature turned around and was like, "Hey kid, nice cock."
And then he pulled a screwdriver out from his diaper, and him and Chucky went on an adventure.
It was pretty hilarious. Actually, this account was a lot more funny. But then again, I found it online after I wrote it. So
We're gonna get this episode taken down for too much copyright infringement on the Rugrat team.
yeah, we didn't actually pay for any of this. So
Paying's overrated.
I'm sorry, Charles Schultz. No, that's
That's
peanuts.
it doesn't matter.
Similar ovoid head, but not the same.
True.
Maybe.
anyway, you get the point. So they all went to the police at some point because this shit's just terrifying, and who else to go to but the friendly neighborhood sheriff man.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them went to the police. Billy Bartlett did not.
He saw him twice though.
Yeah, he got the double take,
Twice was after Dover Demon Mania, though.
Yeah, the second one was... So we lied that it was saw in a
No,
24-hour span.
The
didn't
bulk
lie.
of the sightings were in the 24-hour span.
Yes.
The confirmed. All he saw was a small critter, which very well could have been Phil or Lil DeVille. It might not have been Tommy. So as we were saying, most at one point or another, all of them were involved in the police with this, and which inevitably led to them being involved with Lauren Coleman in the overall investigation, which is bigger than you'd think it would be for just a bunch of kids saying, "Oh, we saw a monster." And what the sheriff had to say after the fact, I believe this was 29 years after the fact that he gave this quote. Carl Sheridan was the police chief, and what he had to say was, let me use my cop voice. That thing has haunted me for 29 years. I knew the kids involved. They were good kids, pretty reliable kids. God only knows what they saw. I still don't know. The whole thing was unusual.
That was a good Arthur Morgan. Oh, it's all right, girl.
It's all right, boy.
Should we do the whole rest of the show in this kind of voice?
Point being, like,
Guess it's a no.
this kind of goes.
No.
This
Quick
shows
projection.
like right away that this does go a little bit more than just like a little teenage prank. Like they also like it goes at least into the local constabulary, and they had quotes. And this guy's not saying, "Oh, it was just kids." Like he's not confirming or denying, but you know that means confirming. And so clearly something was going on. And that is further evidenced by the fact that Lauren Coleman, during his investigation, was involved with the Men in Black.
Indirectly.
Indirectly so. But the thing that's important to remember that they didn't show up giving us a Will Smith rap. The Men in Black are actually a notorious and potentially nefarious phenomena in cryptozoology, in ufology, in all paranormal aspects. They are what is often thought to be a government arm or something, but we really don't know. And if you want to know more, first of all, watch the X-Files. They're all the fuck over it. But also, just shout out to Last Podcast on the Left did a great series about them, and I intend to cover them, probably less thoroughly than them, but they're a very interesting phenomena. But so the Men in Black became involved in this, which shows that this goes deeper than the local constabulary. Reportedly, 2 months to the day of the sightings, 2 Men in Black appeared at the Dover House looking for Lauren Coleman. And my understanding is the Dover House is sort of like a, exactly. They knew it was in Dover, so they went, it's like going to like the Boston House. It's like, I heard you were in Boston. But point being, like the Dover House, my understanding is kind of like a boarding school type thing. I think it was for troubled kids, but don't quote me on that. I mean, I guess you can.
We are saying that, so.
But
Can be quoted.
so they come to the Dover House looking for Lauren Coleman, knowing he's involved in this case and is reporting on it actively. He obviously wasn't at the Dover House, but a woman who worked there wound up giving them Coleman's address, like a good friend does. When strange men come looking for your friend, give them their home address, their schedule, a list of their fears, whatever you need.
That's what I would want.
But to the Men in Black's credit, they never followed up with Lauren Coleman, but they did tell the woman to never mention the Dover Demon again, which clearly should not do.
She's really bad at following directions.
Yeah, but that is still chilling.
It is.
Having two people like so. Could you describe these Men in Black for me? Are they kind of like those Will Smith other guy type scenario?
Tommy Lee Jones, the handsome
There
man.
it is. Yeah.
Also, do you know that movie
I
was
remember
made
his
in
face.
1997?
Was it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Damn.
1997.
Will Smith really doesn't record enough raps for his movies anymore. Wow, Smith. But yeah, the Men in Black. The interesting thing is, this, as far as I know, is a unique look for the Men in Black, but they do come in a lot of shapes and colors. But to describe what the Men in Black who approached this woman at the Dover House looks like, is they were wearing black leather jackets, white motorcycle helmets, presumably to hide their face. They stood perfectly erect, like arms straight at their sides, perfectly erect, which sounds like not that weird, but if you've ever seen someone, it's like they stood at full attention while having a casual conversation. That's unsettling.
It's not usual.
It's odd. And they spoke in a complete monotone, which this is something the Men in Black are known for. They're known for kind of understanding how to look human, but like they'll like take food and like they'll get a glass of water and like not really know what to do with it, things like that. And this is just another example of them not fully understanding how to appear human, like Zuckerberg.
I was gonna say Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. And the thing is, as they left, as they told her never to mention the Dover Demon again, they identified themselves as the reporters from National Geographic. Which
What?
right? Isn't that odd? Like, why? First of all, why would they be there specifically looking for Lauren Coleman? Why would they be reporting in Dover, Massachusetts, on the Dover Demon? And why would they threaten a woman?
Who? Okay, so then, in that sense, who is Lauren Coleman?
Lauren,
I'm just kidding. I know.
but no, he like the thing is, from my understanding,
legend.
this was kind of starting. Like, I wouldn't say the start, but it's like the early prime of his career. Like, he's kind of like Fox Mulder here. Like, he's onto something.
He loves his midnight jogs.
Exactly. But anyway, yeah, we have sheriffs believe it, or the police to an extent believing these kids. You have the Men in Black involved, even though it's such a small sighting. It goes big out of nowhere.
Yeah, but it stays very centric as well, except for one sighting.
Oh yeah.
Much later on in time, in the island of Chile.
It's not an island.
Not an island.
I know it's not a fucking island. I believe in May 2004, a civil engineer was photographing two mounted police officers, and they captured a creature resembling the Dover Demon in the background. And that's really, I mean, it's very, I don't know. Have you guys heard of this? I feel like it's a little bit, suspicious.
I think I've seen the picture.
On in time.
I think I've seen the picture. It's like, it might have been on like 4chan or something back in the day, and it was like, the Chilean version of Mounties, and they're just like a little, I fucking hate to say it. I really do. We've driven this point home. There's a little Tommy Pickles standing.
Come on.
I'm serious. We
haven't worn it out.
It's a lizard Tommy Pickles.
A lizard?
If Tommy Pickles revealed his position in the reptilian agenda, then it would look like that. No, Reptar is a false flag operation.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm serious. It looks like a tiny little like infant that is crawling around by these horses, and it's only one picture. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4. I don't know. Like, I don't. It just it reeks of like early internet. So, as we like to discuss a lot on Beast of the Week, is the behavior of the beasts in question, because it kind of gives us like an insight. Like, we like to discuss what animal it could be, what cryptids it might be related to. We don't have that kind of information on the Dover Demon, because all we know is that it runs away from cars like an animal would. Like, that's just any animal on the road. Or a human in the road. Like,
any of us.
Point being, it just is trying to avoid contact, and it stared at what's his name? Baxter. But that doesn't mean it's menacing, even though he felt uncomfortable. Like a fucking cat stares at you, and all it's doing is looking at you like, are you ghosts? Are you food? And it could just very well be a curious animal, whatever animal
is it
be.
Really like that?
If I was a cat, that's all I'd be looking for. Because there's so little known about what the Dover Demon actually is, there's a slew of possible explanations for it. The first of which being possibly the simplest is that it's just a hoax done by bored teenagers. They were roughly on spring break from high school. They are in a small rural suburban town. They could have been high, drunk, whatever, or maybe they're just bored and they want to play a prank on their small town. Like, Joey and I were in not as small a town as this, but even in our smaller town, I would not surprise me at all if one of our classmates had started some kind of hoax like this.
Oh, no, not at all.
It probably would have been us as the thing.
I was going to say, it sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone, we saw this half baby, half cat
Pickle.
thing.
It's absolutely not impossible that that's the case. And even then, like, the sheriff knew these kids, which, small town sheriff knowing the kids, not the best sign.
Not a good look.
Not
a
the
good look.
best sign.
I don't know.
I mean,
Back
we
then,
had
he could
some
have just been the
police
local
here.
constabulary.
True.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, oh, this also true. I mean, there was like what 2,000 people there.
that's true.
Like, that's not a lot of people. I mean, the
Well,
sheriff
it's 2,000
could know
people
them.
in 2010.
Yeah, so it's less than.
2010.
All right, so redact that
40
point.
years before that.
Let's go back on that.
Yeah, that's
Let's
probably
say the
that's like
sheriff
small
probably
town.
knows
That's
them.
Norman Rockwell shit where they're like, "Hello, newsman."
No, it's kind of like the Andy Griffith show.
Yeah, exactly.
in
with
Mayberry,
monsters.
When did you say monsters?
Yeah, Andy Griffith with monsters. I'd watch the shit
with
out of that
monsters.
show.
Oh my gosh, he was a monster.
Like they're just walking, like
R.I.P.
fucking Andy and Opie are walking down the street, and Bigfoot's just rummaging around in the background, and
He's
they're
just
like,
waving
"Fuck,
to them.
fuck."
No, they're just waving to them like, oh.
Yeah.
Opie's like, oh, Pa, did you see the big?
So I'll say at the growth rate that, and this is by no means, it probably works more like a logarithmically with the way that population works, but at the growth rate that Dover saw in 2010 from 2009 was the population growth was 2.2%. Mm-hmm. So if you were to take that and act as a standard, slope,
Yep.
that gets you minus 40 years, a population of 400 people.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's
So-
a tiny little town. That's like a
Yeah,
neighborhood.
the
some
sheriff,
places.
the sheriff is a large amount of the population. Like these kids plus sheriff. So we're talking like, I don't know. There are 3 kids in the car with Billy plus his girlfriend.
That's a quarter
plus
of the
Billy,
town.
plus Baxter plus the sheriff. That's 7 people. It's like almost 2%. It's almost 2% of the entire fucking town.
That's still a
is in
large
this-
percent.
Yeah, that's 2% of the town involved.
Directly,
this case.
directly
Yeah.
involved, not including their families, their friends.
2%. If you think about it, 2%, like in a town, is actually a fairly good number.
Yeah,
if
it
you think
is.
Like 2% of Boston.
2% of
that's
any
a fucking big
population
number. Yeah.
is.
I don't have
consi-
my calculator.
all
on me,
things
but,
considering is a pretty big number. But
Yeah.
but
Wait, Johnny. Do you have your TI-84 calculator that I can just find
I
something
sold that for meth decades ago.
For math, you mean?
for math?
oh. Can they hear my wink?
Calculator.
I don't know if they can hear.
Yeah.
Here-
Let,
all right.
let me get some Foley in there. Wink. There is the wink.
I like that noise better.
But
Thank you.
Obviously, it's still 2% of the population, as Sam pointed out, which does lead credence to this being genuine, but it also leads credence to how effective of a prank this could be in such a small town. It takes such little literal conspiracy. Like this is. Can I go off on a tangent? I get real mad that people take the word conspiracy to mean any harebrained theory, because conspiracies are legitimate. Technically, we have conspired to create this podcast.
Like assembly.
It gets me mad. So
Yeah,
these people literally conspired to make this hoax, possibly.
Well, did they know each other? Is the thing. Like we don't actually
We don't
know. We
but
don't know if they
there's
were connected
400
at all.
people. They at least kissed twice.
Hey, Johnny, you're probably right. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna discredit that.
It's the wild
It
70s.
was really just
Statistically,
luck
yeah.
that Billy Baxter was with that girl that night. It could have been any of them.
Yeah.
But let's move along from the fucking.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it
the
could have
weird
been
school orgy.
It could have been a misidentified animal. For example, an escaped lab monkey.
First of all,
Yeah.
A lab monkey.
I
Like
don't.
wearing a lab coat?
Yeah, he was.
But let me calm your
Dr.
your
Simeon.
theories here. But there was no reported escaped lab monkeys anywhere in the area.
How many reported labs are in the area?
No.
Yeah, I know, right? Is that like 100 of the town runs a lab, and they're just like, the sheriff goes up, he's just like, hey, some kids thing down the road a bit. Do you guys have any escaped lab monkeys?
And the
they're
whole
just
lab,
like,
the whole lab is all monkeys, and they just look at him, they shake their heads. He's like, "All right."
Didn't
yeah,
think
the
so.
lab's on fire. There's like bananas fucking flung. There's shit on the windows, and they're just like, nope, none of them left here. I think they're all accounted for.
Hey everybody, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/thetruthisstupid. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, Kindle, or even your MP3 player. It'll connect even to a Sonos sound system, so you can lay on the couch, don't have to worry about losing those headphones where you can never find them again, like has apparently happened to my last 4 pairs. For example, I use Audible, huge fan of it. I've been listening to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Andrew Carnegie. Give it a listen. It can really help you, mold your life to become more confident, but also, more importantly, to brighten other people's days. But again, just want to emphasize that the Piece of the Week podcast is enabling you guys to get a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial to read any of these great titles about cryptids, about UFOs, anything that your heart desires. So give it a try. Again, that's www.audibletrial.com/thetruthisstupid.
Another option is that they were just looking at a mangy fox whose hair had all fallen out and he's sad now.
Oh.
But the head's not right. It'd have ears. No, foxes have prominent noses. This thing has not a nose to be. This
thing has no
upon.
nose. Wait, what was the? I want to read the original description just to make sure that we're on the right track here. All right, so just to make sure we're on the right track here, it's 3.5 to 4 feet tall, hairless, peach-colored, watermelon head, body like a sexy baby, round, lidless eyes, no nose, ears or mouth, thin neck, spindly arms and legs, and long fingers.
Yeah, so that doesn't sound like a fox to me.
No, and once again, may I iterate, either Baxter is a fucking idiot, or he's just, there's no way. There's no way
it's a fox.
I also didn't mean to say sexy baby. I did it for the lulz.
There's no way that Baxter was just is that my friend or a small woodland creature?
Well, we're really discounting the possibility that his friends were small woodland creatures.
That's true. We didn't think of him as a... We didn't think he was a Snow White.
Eliza Thornberry.
Eliza Thornberry, yeah.
Another classic
Nigel
Nickelodeon
Thornberry.
Oh, she was hot. Another option that I love this option, is that the Dover Demon may have been a yearling moose.
Oh.
A moose.
What does a yearling moose look like?
Now, the yearling mooses moose
They
look...
have a watermelon-sized head.
They honestly...
Body like a baby.
Not quite, but they are gangly compared to being adults. They're likely to be a little paler. They wouldn't have any antlers. A moose's head is already kind of ovoid shaped.
It's true.
Especially when it's young. I could understand at least one of these sightings being a misidentification for this. And there's some evidence. As of now, there's a breeding population of 200 to 300 moose in Massachusetts, which I was unaware of. But they are also mostly in Western Mass, which is straight up it's unrecognizable from Dover or coastal Mass. It's an entirely different place out in the Berkshires and shit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Totally.
It's very rural and it's a different place. I love it there, but I would be so goddamn shocked to see a moose in this area compared to out there. It was also just plain April's not the time where there would be a calf moose. It's just out of the breeding season. And again, anecdotally, me and Joey from Massachusetts, Sam's from southern New Hampshire, I've never seen a moose in this state. They're just not...
We do get a good amount of moose.
You would. It makes sense. You're further north.
Yeah.
But even in Manchester, you'd be surprised more to see one there than, just a little bit outside of Manchester.
Yeah.
But,
no, I don't...
I've seen to moose
just
once.
Not
my whole
here.
life.
Not in fucking...
And I can tell you, definitely wasn't in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's just, it makes no sense. And especially in the 70s, there's presumably a smaller breeding population of moose here.
Back before moose existed.
Yeah. But no, they were...
Hold up. I have to go ask a Massachusetts expert real quick.
Tell Tori I said hi.
Back. I'll be right back. You can keep it rolling, boys. Keep it going.
Keep it going.
I'm back.
I've been in this
Keep
position
it rolling. I just asked Toria, my girlfriend, who is from the Cape, if they've ever seen moose on the Cape. Because if they've seen moose on the
would
Cape...
not be on
What?
the Cape.
They have?
I'm just making sure. She said no.
Okay.
Why the fuck would a moose be on the Cape?
Moose are mysterious boys. Just based on aesthetic alone, I get it, but just logistically, it makes no sense for the Dover Demon to be a yearling moose.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I want to say definitely not, but I would say...
I mean, we can't
yearling
say
moose
definitely
is-
not. We can't.
is
we have
equally
no ability to
probable
count it
to
out.
it being any kind of a cryptid.
Fair enough. You're
So
right.
I'd put those on equal footing,
Yes.
if not more logical that it is a moose.
I mean,
But
yeah, it's
unlikely and not fun.
true. I mean, it's still kind of fun that there would be a moose hanging out so close to Boston. Sam makes a good point. It is more logical that it was a yearling moose, so we'll give it some credit.
Yeah,
So, what other animals might it have been?
little baby.
Could be a little baby. So another one is an escaped baby farm animal, like for example, a newborn horse.
Similar to a moose.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a
leg.
moose. It's kind of like a little less hairless. It's like weird
a little
looking,
less stout.
awkward moving. But however,
yeah, it's
I
got-
can't see its legs actually being able to stand on any sort of rocks
Or mold with the rocks.
yeah,
See, that's
especially not mold.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
That's a finger thing.
They talk
That
about-
moose.
Yeah, it's a
So,
finger
hold on.
thing.
That gives me some credit that it might have been an escaped lab monkey because
Yeah.
that's how primates' feet work. They grip.
Very
Yep.
true.
It
Yeah.
at least has some form of toes.
But with primates, at least as far as I know, Sam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, which please do, because I probably am wrong. But if you see light reflected off of them, it's red. So they have like red or
So
orange
actually-
I
eyes,
don't know
right?
that.
let's dive into that actually because that is a point I wanted to make. It's interesting that in Baxter's account there's no eye color acknowledged, and also
There was no light,
that's the
too.
only one without car headlights. And when you look at animals' eyes in the light, there is a spectrum, and I believe it has something to do with the rods and the cones in the eyes.
Yep.
And it has to do with the ability to see color and to what extent. Which is why, like, you take a picture of your dog with the flash on, he has a green eye, while you and I have red eye. Which is
That's true.
interesting why there's the spectrum of orange to green on this thing, because it indicates that, and I don't know if this is scientifically accurate, this is just, anecdotally what I've heard. Listeners, let me know. I'm genuinely interested because there's so many stories about red glowing eyes in this. I wonder how that pertains to anatomical structures and stuff. But given that, we can infer that this might not be a farm animal or anything with the green eyes, but it could be with the orange eyes. And it would
possible.
make sense. Like, it also eliminates a supernatural element of this if we say that it's not glowing eyes, it's reflected eyes, which is just what eyes do.
And
eyes do
one
that.
thing that we didn't talk about that we tend to love to talk about. We talked about it with the Loch Ness Monster. I
The dick.
don't remember if we talked to... Yes. You're not wrong. The dick. And that is...
We have to do it. We have to cover it.
Folks, the truth is stupid. But you know what else is stupid?
Dicks.
Love is stupid. And I'd like to bring you into a new segment in the Beast of the Week podcast. I have made a Tinder account for the Dover Demon.
Yes!
And the Dover Demon's going to... And every week, depending on our cryptid, it's going to try to hook up with whoever's in the
Sam surprised us with this, and this is the best
love
thing
it.
I could have
I
imagined.
We have 3 matches.
No way!
We have 3 matches.
Holy shit!
The birthday is the date of the sightings. So the Dover Demon's 41. And first we have a woman, and I will not be using their real
That's
names.
fine.
But first we have Susan, who says, we match, and of course, Dover Demon
Yes.
loves people, loves them. So Dover Demon says, hello there. Also in the bio description for the Dover Demon, very important, very important. Just a friendly Dover Demon hanging out, eating chips. Loving that 70s show right now. Oh. And that's the bio.
That's it.
And
That's the
so
whole
we have
thing.
Susan, and Dover even said hello, and she said hi back. And I said, "How afraid of cars are you?" And at that moment, the conversation did stop. The second hookup was a woman named Abigail. And at that one, she actually took the forward and said, "Hi there. Are you big into cryptozoology?" And I responded, "Well, I'm only the size of a small baby with a watermelon head. But I'm pretty well known around the neighborhood." To which she said, "Haha, smiley face." At that point, I feel like she saw past the veil that this is not the Dover Demons Tinder account. The final like has said nothing and has unliked me. Immediately, I just said, "Got any chips?" And there was nothing after that. So I am to presume she did not have a single fucking bag of chips with her. Not a single chip for the old Dover Demon.
Oh man, this is the kind of joy I needed added to my day today. That holy shit. I'm so glad. I'm so proud of you for taking this initiative towards the podcast. Oh my god, that is fucking gold.
So, I guess on a scale from 1 to 10, does the Dover Demon fuck? And I'm gonna say, not great responses, but 3 likes within 1 day.
Not bad.
The Dover Demon fucks. I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10.
I'm
gonna
good
give
job,
him
Dover
that.
Demon. That's pretty.
Goddamn.
That's not bad.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
not bad. That's not bad. You know, honeys love that
Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles look
Oh my god.
with purple hair and everything.
Being 3 feet tall is the appeal here.
I need to recover from the most pleasant surprise I've had in months.
Oh my god! No, actually, that was fucking hilarious. I had no idea what you were going at us.
So, with so much sexual prowess, there's a good chance that the Dover Demon could be some kind of supernatural entity, I think.
You have a good point there. And
It's possible.
I mentioned earlier,
Aliens have a great bod.
they also fuck a lot based on the story. It's not consensual, but they fuck a lot.
Yes.
Coming to you at a later episode.
It's only for one night, much like Tinder.
But I brought up earlier that it does sort of resemble a version of a gray alien, which I'd like to bring up is something I said similarly to the rake. And I personally think that this thing holds similar characteristics to the rake, except it's far more timid and its features in general are more rounded.
So how is it similar to the rake? For those listeners that were too afraid to listen to episode 1.
We're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. That was
But
hard.
just its fingers, its shape, its colors similar, its appearance is just generally similar, but in a far less threatening way. Whereas the rake clearly has predator qualities. This, like they say, like a moose, a fox, a horse, a calf. All of short of the fox, which is a predator, but not necessarily threatening to humans predator. All of them are relatively, I don't want to say peaceful, but you know what I mean with that. Creatures.
I don't think foxes attack unless they're... Although, a fox with mange.
Well, with mange, yes, but point being, what it's compared to as far as animals isn't exactly out to get you. Granted, most animals aren't, but they're not a threat in the same way, say, a wolf would be. The rake definitely is.
Yeah,
definitely.
Big threat.
But it's a similar overall makeup with more softened features, approaches, mannerisms.
A blunt rake.
A blunt rake.
A trowel.
Yes, it's a trowel. But also the rake resembles a gray alien. And the gray aliens are the most common one, and you have the tall grays like the rake, or the short grays like the Dover Demon. There's a lot of speculation on that, which I cannot wait to guide you guys down a deep dive of, but this isn't the time or place. I mean, it is the place, it's not the time.
This is the one place, actually.
But the only problem with this, and honestly I give this a lot of credence, is that there was no UFO activity reported in the area around this time. You know, take that as you will, but it's just, you know, these things go together. It's the amount of times you read alien sightings and it's like, we saw a UFO, and then someone's like, oh, I saw this thing around. Like, it happens together. You don't usually you'll get a UFO without a physical sighting, but you rarely get a physical sighting without a UFO somewhere around.
I mean, I could see that, but in a town of probably 400 to 700 max, maybe 800, at fucking midnight?
Fair.
You can get away with a saucer or two. You know?
That's fair, but you also have to consider it's near the major metropolitan area of Massachusetts. Like, yeah, it's 20 minutes away, but
A saucer in the hand is worth two in the bush, you know?
there might have been
That's
two
the
in the
old
bush.
saying. There could have been two rakes.
Oh,
And one little baby Dover Dean.
Okay, we'll leave it on that one. What?
Another
Yeah, go ahead.
possible idea for this is it's a fairy.
Which, you know, I really want to cover this eventually, but it really requires me doing a lot more research into it because stories about the Fae and fairies and all that they go back thousands of years, and they're a lot more sinister than people think. You think like Tinkerbell and shit. Nah, you don't fuck with the Fae.
No, I would read.
Hashtag
Artemis Fowl?
Hashtag you don't fuck with the Fae.
No.
Yeah, Artemis Fowl actually. Oh my god, amazing series.
It was really
If
good.
you guys haven't read Artemis
but
Fowl at all,
the
read it.
thing is,
Artemis
amazing.
Fowl.
they actually do go into some pretty genuine lore about fairies.
They do. Oh,
And
really?
it's big in like Ireland. It's a huge Celtic thing, but they're all over the place. But you know, there's just a point. It's an unfortunate point to make. I don't think in the 70s in the Boston area, someone calling someone a fairy actually meant they thought they were a being of the Fae. And I think we're just lucky they didn't use a different F word.
Very true. Okay.
On that same note, I'm really happy that you guys said Fae were like thousands of years old, and then you referenced a book from 2001.
That is thousands of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it might
Yeah,
as well
but
have
I mean,
been,
at
but-
the same point, that was when we all like started listening to fairies. Or, I don't know.
What do you want? Do you want me to start?
listening
You want me to start referencing grimoires, or do you want to start talking about how I started? No, I'm not making that joke.
I was. Yeah, listen.
I was about to say
fucking
George
Mabinogi.
Michael. I can't do that.
Listen, I was sincerely taken by those books. I think it's a great series. I mean, even if you don't give a shit about the cryptozoology, it's fun. It's a great series.
It is.
You know what? No,
but,
I'm gonna start reading that again.
Also, just fairies.
I think the Venn diagram of people that care about cryptozoology and are listening to this podcast is a fat nothing.
Anyway,
I think they're mostly our friends at this point.
yeah, possibly
Thanks,
a
friends.
possibly a being of the Fae. I don't give it that just based on that. One thing I love, perhaps the Dover Demon is a washed ashore mer being.
No.
Mer being the gender neutral term for mermaids or mermen.
Are
Dover
there any rivers?
Dover isn't close to the ocean for a mermaid to wriggle up there, but it is on the south banks of the Charles River. Now, I don't know if these sightings happen to be close to where that bank is, but it is there. Now, it might have wriggled for a while. And something to consider is, yeah, it has a strange appearance. And the 70s was also when Boston, the most famous song about Boston, short of the Dropkicks,
Love that dirty
yeah.
water.
all we were known for
Ba-do-do-do-do.
was beans and a disgusting river. So maybe it just got mutated in the Charles and just wiggled around Dover for a day and then just dried out somewhere in the woods.
Boston, you're my home. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, bum, bum. Anyway, that's a great song.
And again, we're probably going to cover mer beings in a far more depth later. But again, it's a possible explanation for the Dover Demon that has been proposed by people other than three assholes with microphones.
So, looking right now, because I just love me that research. The the location of Miller High Road, or I think it was misspelled in the article I read. It's actually Miller Hill Road. And if it is, it's only a couple thousand feet from the Charles. It is not far at all.
Do you know how far that is?
At all.
A couple thousand feet.
It's a mile away. It's a mile away from the Charles.
Yeah, but imagine being like, all right, I'm a mer being. I live on water. Let's just jump a mile inland.
Dude, it's been fucked up by the Charles dirty water for nautical miles, and all of a sudden it's like, help, help, help. Maybe this is the way to the ocean, and it's trying to get there, so it's got like 3,000 miles to the Pacific, but...
And in that case, then I will say that is directly on Trout Brook, which is an offshoot of the Charles River.
Oh.
So it is directly fucking on a brook.
So Sam, I happen to know that the next supernatural explanation is near and dear to you.
Oh yes. The possibility of it being a Menegeshi.
What's that?
Which is a race.
What's that?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, what is it?
Hey! It is a race of trickster people.
What's that?
In many native... Joke. Have you ever watched Impractical Jokers?
No, what is that?
Think it is a television show of people that are mean.
Mean, what is that?
Shut the fuck up, Joey.
Ill-spirited. You. There's many different names from different groups of people. The Algonquin called them the Ojibwa. The Passamaquoddy. I'm gonna butcher some of these. I only know Algonquin. Is the Nagumsawak, and the Cree call them the Menegeshi, and they are very similar in description. They're semi-humanoid, monkey, maybe lab monkey looking, old, ugly. I'm thinking ovoid head, watermelon, fruit salad, motherfucking looking.
Uh-oh. We got an edible arrangement running at us.
Watch out, guys. Covered in chocolate. It looks delicious, but what? It could be your friend.
Oh, that tasty Dova demon.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious. That little Dova steaks.
Spit on my microphone.
It's 3 to 4 feet tall. Big head. No nose.
No nose.
No nose. No nose. No nose. That when like somebody
What is it
offers
you
me
to
too much food at Thanksgiving.
No nose.
No nose.
No nose.
Please.
No nose.
No nose. It's got thin, lanky limbs, but unfortunately, it's dissimilar in some ways. It is hairy.
Now let me stop you there.
fuzzy.
You guys remember when I
Okay.
said Chucky Finster was going to come up later? Chucky.
Jesus.
Do we have our little
Chucky.
Manafinster right here?
Yeah, a Mana Finster. The Manageshi is Chucky Finster. We're going to fill out the Rugrats lore with cryptids by the time I die. Chucky Finster is a Manageshi.
Yeah.
Por
It's
qué?
possible. It's possible.
They're
But did
Okay.
Chucky have a long beard, short arms, and bowed legs? Only two
Actually,
of those.
Tommy Pickles had bowed legs because he had flat feet like me.
It's true. Also,
I also have flat feet.
if it has hairy exterior, then we don't know if it's not short enough hair to look like sandpaper.
Fair
I feel
point.
like if
If
they
you think about
said
it, it's like
hairy,
think about your lady friend after she shaves her legs, and then it's been like a few days after that, and you like rub the
can't
wrong
guy
way,
friends
and it's
shave
got to
their
be
legs?
like sandpaper, and it hurts like hell. AKA.
Are you saying this fucker shaved before like?
Well, maybe
Oh, this
waltzing around
motherfucker
Dover?
shaved.
maybe it's a
He
Manageshi.
cared
They
about his
are
appearance.
tricksters. Maybe he was like, I'm going to fucking get him.
Okay.
He's gonna be like, look, there's a thing with my lady, and I'm gonna
We
trick
got
her.
ourselves a man escaping Manageshi.
You got
was doing a great job
Tommy
until then.
Pickles picked the lock on their thing with his little diaper screwdriver, and Chucky's like, I don't know about this. He's like, shave yourself.
Oh my god.
Right now, Chucky, shave.
That was a deleted scene.
Yeah,
This
they
is
didn't wanna
all
air
going to
it.
be a deleted scene.
This episode's horseshit.
This entire episode is going to be
This
a
whole
deleted
episode
scene.
is a deleted scene.
We're just gonna have to turn this podcast name into deleted scenes, and we're famous for never releasing an episode.
Yeah, it's just a fun time for us and no one else, except for our listeners down in Brazil.
What up? Hey!
Shout out.
No, seriously,
Um,
thank you to the listeners in Brazil. We fucking love you.
We're confused about it, but we're very appreciative.
Yeah, hit us up. Tell us more about the Manageshi.
They are mostly aquatic, which makes sense if we're talking, if a mer being is possible, and this is only about 1,000 feet away from a very big river.
I mean, I'd also like to point out that a gully is where, like, a temporary waterway, where if there's a flooding or something, it's made from erosion.
And late April, snow's a melting.
That's true.
Waters a flowing. I almost called you Charlie. Rest in peace. Now these guys are pranksters on dark, stormy nights. It was said that Baxter's recounting was an overcast night, maybe not stormy, but we're pushing the boundaries here. But they do also like arts and crafts.
Hold on, can I stop you there?
Yes.
Just because I love in old mythology, they call things pranksters when they downright murder people for no reason.
Dude,
it's
a
like,
sick prank.
Oh, the Manageshi were
they
pranksters.
pranked us.
All they do is tip over their Native Americans' canoes and watch them drown and laugh. And it's like, you hear this all the time. It's like fucking Loki was a prankster god, and all he did was fuck horses and kill people. Like, sick fucking prank guy.
Dude, nice
and then
prank.
But the thing is, like, you hear people complain, like, you have those pranks on YouTube where they punch homeless people, and it's like, when did pranks stop being funny? Evidently, pranks have never been, like,
funny.
A two-sided game.
They've never been funny.
They've mellowed
They've always
out.
been like, fuck you.
They've mellowed
This is
out a
prank.
lot since the ancient days when it was just like, you're bleeding.
You're dead.
It's possible
funny prank.
that the only ground we break tonight on this episode is that when you call being mean to someone a prank, that is the prank. Just being like, it's not mean. That's the true prank. Every prank is a meta prank.
We actually hit a very deep note right there.
Yeah. We needed one. So these dudes love arts and crafts, which makes me think that not only do we have this edible arrangement walking at us, it's also holding up a nice macaroni art.
Dude, this sounds like a good friend if he didn't kill me when I was trying to just kayak about.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That is one important thing. Their prank is tipping over kayaks and drowning people. So
Wait, your analogy is very much lost on me.
We're going to have to take a pause because my
Also,
mic
yeah, we're
stand
gonna have to
fell off
take
the
a-
goddamn
just
table.
pause it.
Pause.
So, the Manageshi.
So the Manageshi.
I can't even remember where we left off.
We left out on the Manageshi of Native Americans back in the era. Whatever. So here we go.
Okay. And so yeah, just imagine this little edible arrangement running at you with a pasta little macaroni
Edible
art.
arrangement running at you.
They also
And
like
it's-
smoking a pipe, and they are asshole hobbits.
They are asshole hobbits, especially the pipe thing. Hobbits were all about the fucking pipe.
They love that pipe.
So yeah, the Manageshi are interesting, and it's interesting that they're in so many Native American lore.
Yeah.
Very much East Coast, but I don't, Passamaquoddy, that sounds like a Cape Cod town name, so I'm assuming that's a East Coast thing. But, it's always interesting to me. Maybe the Dover Demon doesn't perfectly match a Manageshi, but it is an explanation we have that, we always love when there might be a cryptid involved. Think back to the seal with a long neck, like a horse or a camel's.
Yes. Tell me again.
The Hoyleman seal. A seal with a long neck, similar to that of a horse or a camel's.
So just so you know, the Passamaquoddy are northeast Maine.
Okay. But yeah, no, that's exactly right. But it's a widespread myth, quote unquote, which to me leads some credence to it because widespread myths usually have an ounce of truth.
Yes.
And
It's got to be based off something.
So, when we first started researching this, it occurred to me, like, I did not back up this Manageshi thing, but maybe it is. Maybe they have a larval state that is hairless.
A larval state.
It's a good point.
I like that. And it's not crazy for sightings of things that are similar to the Dover Demon either in a lot of places. Like, you have the Toronto, I think, tunnel monster, too, which is very similar
Really?
to the Dover Demon, where
I'm unfamiliar.
It was I believe a municipal worker was working down in the mines one day, and he saw this, rabid little thing. I think he heard like an animal cry or something like that. Went to go check it out. The thing skittered off. I believe they found a dead cat down there later.
Fuck.
Yeah, which is very sad to hear. But I think the funniest thing about this story is that they went to go investigate, and I believe the gentleman's name was Eugene. He would not give his last name. It is still unknown, although... And the funniest thing about this story is that they questioned him, and then they questioned his wife, and his wife just throws him so far under the bus. He is like one with the axle now, where his wife is like, he's just like, I did see a monster. And they're like, all right, what do you think about this, Mrs. Eugene? And she's like, well, my husband loves to drink, but he wasn't drinking at the time. So he wasn't drunk, I promise. And he must be sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Right now? Right now, after I see a goddamn monster? But
she's been trying to bring up his drinking problem for like months, and this is
she
finally
don't want to say it,
like,
though. Does not want to say it.
Eugene, we're all here. We care about you.
You saw a monster, and the monster is you.
It's not far-fetched to say, again, we're talking about missighted animals. If we're talking about a yearling moose or a calf or a horse, it's just as valid to say it's a misidentified animal as much as it is to say it's a misidentified cryptid.
Yeah, exactly. The probability is there, and Toronto also is in Cree Nation, so the Menegeshi thing still holds a little bit. And if Toronto has the Menegeshi, and Northeast Maine has the Menegeshi, and the Algonquin have the Menegeshi, I do not think it's crazy that Dover would have some kind of Menegeshi sightings. I mean, Algonquin is that's New England.
Yeah, it's roughly the range.
Yeah,
at least
that's
some
not
point.
crazy. That's not crazy at all.
Yeah, it's just I really like that I really like when cryptids we cover have an alternative cryptid. It may be because like with Nessie, we all agree that a plesiosaur is unlikely. But we also have the long-necked seal, we have animals that just make no sense, and it yields to a more interesting story beyond what we you hear. Like with any cryptid, it's more fun to believe in the cryptid, but it's also fun to believe that in the questioning of the cryptid, it's still an animal we know nothing about.
Yeah. No, it is something that is unheard of, and we like to iterate it, but it's not crazy at all that this could be some other, this thing that we don't know about yet. Because there's so much out there that isn't discovered. So
exactly, like I will say it right here. This thing doesn't see like, just in the common terminology, it doesn't act like a demon. It might look like one, but it hasn't done anything sinister other than show up and spook some people.
maybe stop a quick fuck, and that's it.
Yeah,
Which,
maybe you didn't have a rubber, and it probably was a beneficial act to everybody. But
nice guy.
It's just interesting to think of it that way, that it's not necessarily a demon, but it very much could be something that we just haven't identified yet.
Well, I think it's a mixture of half cat, half baby thing that's terrorizing the city of Dover. The town of Dover. I'm sorry.
That sounds like the shittiest Godzilla villain ever.
Yeah, it's a little Godzilla.
It's kind of it's something you want to repress into your back end memory.
It sounds kind of like that baby Godzilla, Manila or whatever, that could
Manila.
talk to the little Japanese boy in that one movie.
But yeah, that's it. I think fondly on it, I think it shows that people are gonna see what they want to see. And sometimes taking a cruise while you're a little baked is kind of fun. So it'll create someone in 50 years talking about you on a podcast.
41.
So, go out, make some shit up, and
We'll talk
a
about
fun time doing it.
I actually do. I got one more like on Tinder.
Oh my god!
And I asked her, Do you know how to fix a broken mic stand? And no response yet. No response yet. So I don't think she does.
You got to ask her something better. Like,
do you know how to fix?
Do you like sandpaper skinned babies?
Y'all, I think with the Dover Demon, we're really seeing that the truth is indeed stupid. Like, yeah, if these kids just saw something and I misidentified it, and like, again, they're teenagers, and I'm not maligning teenagers. I was one for a good amount of time, and
it's true, yeah,
and like there's, you're a young kid in a small town, and you see something that you can't explain, and all of a sudden it's this crazy monster that your mind can't fully wrap itself around. I get it. I would have thought the same thing because it's just plain more fucking interesting than what goes on in your day. And if that's the truth, and all these fucking explanations don't make a lot of sense, but they are, to the extent that a Dover Demon is reasonable, exactly as reasonable. And there's just, from what we have, there's no way to draw a true conclusion as to whether you can say this is real or not. All we know is that three parties experienced a very similar thing in a 24-hour period, whether that is a cryptid, a supernatural being, or a lost animal that wandered through the same place at the same time. That's still a significant sighting of something that no one can really understand, and that's really what this show is all about, is the inexplicable and just the people who witness it. Yeah, that about wraps up the Dover Demon. Again, sorry for the gap in episodes. That's not a precedent we want to set, but life gets in the way, and computers are assholes, and we're back on track, folks. So join us next week. We have a saucy episode we're cooking up for you.
Saucy.
It's going to be tasty. We're venturing into some uncharted territories. Granted, we're 4 episodes in, but we're charting. They're all,
yeah.
Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You're going to get more content out of Instagram or Facebook.
True.
At The Truth is Stupid. Message us any questions, anything interesting you might have.
Any ideas?
Yeah.
Anything you want to hear from us.
We would love to hear from you. And if you have any cool stories, we'd love to hear them from you. Maybe we'll put together an episode to get you all on the air. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you. And again, that's at The Truth is Stupid. You'll see it on our album art.
Without the
Yes, sorry.
Sorry.
I want to thank everyone who's listened already and who has continued to listen. Somehow, without 2 weeks of episodes, we've yet to have 0 downloads in a day, which we're really grateful for. We're a brand new podcast, and we're just figuring this shit out, and you guys have already given us a great listener base. You've been great about it, and keep on listening because there's a lot more to come.
Yeah. Absolutely so thankful for everyone that's listening in. I'd love to give out
Those were good words.
I was like, I would love to give a specific shout out to Brian Curley. Thanks for giving a listen and giving us a chance. We're really welcoming new people to listen to our basically our shit to spread around to their friends. We love to have a good time. Anyone else that has ideas, welcome them. Also, we do not condone getting stoned and driving. Please don't do that. It's not a good time.
Also, fucking in your car in public might get you an indecent exposure.
You might become a sex offender.
Just make sure that fuck is worth telling your neighbors about for the rest of your life. Same if you have to pee in public. Make sure that piss is something you want to tell your neighbors about for the rest of your life. So, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Beast of the Week podcast. Tune in next week for some new topic type material, and have a good one, folks. I'm John Cannon.
I'm Joe McGlinchey.
And I'm Sam Harris.
Remember, the truth is stupid. See you next week, folks.
Oh, shit, it's this picture.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, the one that looks like a little...
like a little Tommy Pickles.
Baby. I thought this was Central Park.
No, that's in Chile.
Oh my god, no, that's like the dancing baby.
I know.
Fucking video. That's like the ooga chaka ooga. That's not. If they saw that, then I don't know. No, there's no way.